You can import them. You guys will look at importing later on. And you can import them again to the library or to the stage right there. You're better off on the library, obviously, so you can reuse that over and over. You can import to the stage and then make it a symbol into the library after that. That's possible too. Okay? Now, page setup. Alright? That's the size of your page right now. That's not so important for you guys. The important part is the properties right here. In the property at the bottom right here, the page setup is for if you're going to export it to HTML and stuff like that. Right here, the properties right here will give you the size of your stage. All right. So what size are you guys working mainly? What is your project size? You don't have one. For the net.
I would say 800, 600.
Yes, exactly what I was going to say. For the internet, because you have to see that as of now, Flash is mainly an internet video game engine. It is not being used for consoles, all right, or large PC games. It hasn't happened yet, okay? It's mainly for the internet. Don't get me wrong. There's probably more business using Flash than any other thing for video games. I got 2 kids, 10 and 13 years old. There are so many games on the internet using Flash, it's not even funny anymore. Just go to Barbie.com, for example, or USB key. I mean, there is tons and tons and tons and tons of Flash games. All right, you guys. So it's a huge market. It's not as rewarding for showing off than any other thing. It's not like you're gonna do. It's like you're doing Doom. All right. It's like, yeah, while you're doing little games, you know, doing internet game. It's not the same reward, you know, toward other game people than you do if you do console game and so forth. All right. It's still Flash, but Flash is used for interface for main games, for a lot of big games. All right. Vectors actually, not Flash. Vectors type of graphics is used a lot for user interface because of the scaling properties I just told you guys. All right, you can, and that's very important for user interface because user interface changes from depending on the screen. Everybody mainly has a different screen, so you can see I have a small screen and then a big screen that could be blown up and down and look awful. I have a lot of artifacts with vectors. You're good. Okay. So now on your property right here, you have the size. Okay, that you can decide to choose. So let's call it today. We'll do what's the name of the class? CPI 211.
Yeah.
Okay, CPI 211. Flash demo, Flash art demo. All right. Now you can take a dimension. Okay, on the width we said 800 by 600. So 800 by 600, which is, like I said, a fairly good one. For the simple reason that can be blown out full screen really well, all right? That most of the people have at least 800 by 600 in graphic cards, in display cards, so that works fairly well for that, okay? Now we're good for that. That's for color system. Background color, you can have a background for your stage, okay? That's fairly simple. I'm going to stay in white for now. Well, actually, I might put a little gray just for the fun of it. Now, fairly important right here is your 12 frames per second, your frame rate. Right here. Okay, right here, you have your frame rate. Okay, that is very important. I don't know why they put 12 frames per second, you know, as a default thing. You shouldn't go under 15. All right? Why? Because basically there's something called the persistence of vision. Animation works on something, on a principle, a very, very old principle from the 19th century, 1852, something like that, from a knight called Knight Darcy, all right, a British guy living in France, don't ask me, all right, that actually was a knight and a really good math guy, and he figured out that in reality there was some type of buffer in the brain with the eyes, and to have something moving, you need to have at least 15 frames per second. So 15 images of that thing moving will give you an animation for 1 second. Under 15 it becomes like, you know, breakdance basically. It's no good. All right. So you shouldn't get under 15. For video game, you should run at least 30. And most of my friends, like my buddy Goddard from the guy that did Street Fighter 4, no, Street Fighter 2, sorry, Extreme Fight, I mean super fast speed stuff, you know, told me I won't do any game until 60 FPS. I think he's a little full of it, because that's a lot of frames per second. And the internet doesn't really get you that so well. Okay, not everybody. So let's say at least, let's say 30 for now. Okay, you want to stay in pixels. I like to work in pixels. I'm used to work in pixels, but you can change that, and that's the ruler unit. All right, basically, you guys, on inches, centimeters, whatever you want. I like pixels. I'm used to that. That's something that works well, because video game, raster video game works in pixels, and I'm mainly raster. All right, so you click OK. Now, as you can see, your scene, your stage, all right, has actually changed in size. Okay, I'm going to close that. Well, actually, I'll leave it on for now. Just make it smaller. All right. Any question up to now? No? Okay. Fairly simple up to now. Nothing really special for that. Okay. Now let's look. Let's go into. That was just to open things administratively. Now let's look about the tool that you have. First of all, you have a layer system right here. Okay, those are layers that can be animated, and we'll look at that next class, next week, basically, when we'll start doing animation. All right, but you can create multiple layers. Okay, let's call it base, for example. We'll create. So you have the motion guide, and that's for motion. You can delete that layers. You can create folders also. If you have pieces of graphics, elements of graphic, all right, that goes together, like for example a watch with its mechanism inside, or a tank, and in the tanks you'll have the top turret with the cannons, you'll have the body, and you'll have the chains, for example, and it would be different type of grouping situation. You can have those and group them by what you need, basically, so it's easier to work. All right, now your new layers are right here. Okay, you can make 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, whatever many layers as you need. It's not a big deal. All right, what's interesting is that obviously that's the bottom, and that keeps on top, so just like in Photoshop. All right, so if we make a piece of art right here, let's say in the base one, and we change after its color, and we make another piece of art right here, it'll be on top of it. Okay, now we make a third layer with a third color, it'll go on top of it. A fourth layer, fourth color, it'll go on top of it right there. Okay, if you grab one of those layers with your left mouse click, all right, you bring it down under it, it goes under. Okay, it's that easy, just like Photoshop. There's not much difference with Photoshop at that level. You can make it visible or not, and you can lock them. Bless you. All right, that's pretty easy. Or you can make them empty inside or not. Okay, that's pretty easy, straightforward. Any question up to now? Again, I'm gonna cut for YouTube.